Welcome back, everyone. When Company of Heroes 3 was announced back in 2023, I was genuinely excited. As someone who's been with the franchise since the original Company of Heroes, I couldn't wait to see what Relic Entertainment had planned next. Unfortunately, what we got at launch was disappointing. Company of Heroes 3 felt shallow, unfinished, and stripped of much of the depth that made the earlier game so memorable. But now that we're 3 years removed from the rough release, the real question is, has Company of Heroes 3 finally earned its $60 price tag, or is it still a work in progress? Here's my review of Company of Heroes 3. Visually, Company of Heroes 3 is a clear step up from both Company of Heroes 1 and 2. It's immediately obvious that the developers aimed for a brighter, cleaner, and more colorful art style. While Company of Heroes 2 still holds up surprisingly well, Company of Heroes 3 definitely looks more modern. Lighting, environmental detail, and destruction are all noticeably improved. Whether you're fighting through collapsed Italian villages, or battling across the dusty North African deserts, the game constantly looks impressive. Units are more detailed, and vehicle damage is now clearly visible, with wear and tear persisting even after repairs. At its best, Company of Heroes 3 looks downright cinematic. Just don't be too memorized by the explosions, or you'll lose half the map and wonder how you got pinned down at HQ. When I first played Company of Heroes 3, I felt like Company of Heroes 2 had better unit handling and far stronger unit roster. After revisiting both games recently, though it's clear that some improvements have been made, Company of Heroes 3 now feels smoother and closer to Company of Heroes 2 than it did at launch. That said, the unit roster is still a major weak point. It was bare bones at release, and even after multiple free updates and DLCs, it still feels limited. Game modes also remain largely untouched. Still, after several patches and hotfixes, including improved unit pathing, smarter AI behavior, and better unit balancing, Company of Heroes 3 is finally starting to recapture some of that magic that made Company of Heroes 2 so good. Company of Heroes 3 features two campaigns. One is an odd mix of turn-based tactical map and scripted missions set in Italy, while the other is more of a traditional story-driven campaign set in North Africa. The North African campaign is easily the highlight for me. While the other campaign has an interesting concept, starting with very limited map control and gradually pushing north, it never fully comes together. Compared to the campaigns in Company Hero 1 and 2, Company Heroes 3 still feels lacking overall, though there's still some enjoyment to be found regardless. Company of Heroes 3 was never a terrible game, but it lacks content, and diluted core mechanics continue to hold it back, even after 3 years of updates. The biggest issue that remains is the price. At $60 plus DLCs ranging from $14 to $25 each, it's hard to recommend this game at full price. At a certain point, the DLCs feel almost required to make the game feel complete. However, Company of Heroes 3 is a solid game with rough edges. What it really needs is a large, meaningful expansion, something on the scale of a Pacific War DLC to truly bring it back on the spotlight. I strongly recommend waiting for a complete bundle sale or a deep discount. Newcomers to the franchise should honestly start with Company Heroes 2, which frequently goes on sale for around $5. For long-term veterans who've been holding out, now might be finally the time to jump in. Just know that the limited unit roster will eventually push you towards buying the overpriced DLCs. So, if you enjoy misclicking or accidentally sending your soldiers behind enemy lines because you were too busy watching explosions, Company of Heroes 3 might be the game for you.